It's great to meet you, Frank. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'll just introduce myself. So, my name is Colin Royal, and I'm part of NHS England. And I know that I'm going to speak to you today a little bit about shared decision making and about your experience of prostate cancer. So, Frank, do you want to start us off? I understand that you've got some questions for me today about shared decision making, and we can use that to explore a bit about your experience of having prostate cancer and getting the treatment that you needed for prostate cancer.
Okay. So, could you explain, Colin, what is shared decision making?
Good question. Thanks, Frank. I guess shared decision making is a process which helps people come to the best decisions about their treatment. So, whenever somebody has a change in health circumstances, what should happen in a shared decision making process is they would have a conversation with their health and care professional about their health circumstances and discuss the different treatment options that are available to them based on evidence. And together, they'd have a discussion about each of those treatment options and consider which might be most suitable for them, including the option to have no treatment at all as well. And that should be done in the context of all of their life as well. So not just in terms of treating the condition that they might have gone there with. So in this case, in terms of prostate cancer, it should actually, that conversation should include the context of all of that person's life to help reach the best decision for them and their treatment.
Right, that's good. That's quite informative. Thank
Good.
you. Do you want me to ask you another question, or?
Yeah, it'd be good. And then it'd be really good to just explore a bit about your experience then, I think would be really nice to hear a bit more about as well.
Yeah, well, I'm Frank. I'm 75 years old. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer in February 2022. After shared decision making with nurses, doctors, and a consultant, I listened to their experience and decided to have radiotherapy combined with hormone injections. The treatment has so far proved successful, and after my first review, my PSA blood test was almost unrecognisable, unrecordable. I found it a fantastic process speaking to everybody. They did listen to me all the way through from diagnosis to treatment. They listened to what was best for me. I have no complaints at all. They gave me leaflets, which are a bit dry, but meeting face to face were really important, which I did. And they're wonderful people. I suppose shared decision making is, with prostate cancer, you've got to rely on their experience more than you being involved. You can say, I don't want that treatment, or I prefer that treatment. But myself, I wanted to listen what was best for me. They're very experienced, have treated thousands of people. So it worked well for me, and that's all I can say.
That's really, really positive to hear, Frank. And I'm so pleased to hear you say that. It's really good to hear that it was an open conversation, that you discussed the different treatment options that were available, that you actually came to a conclusion yourself rather than that you felt as though you were kind of geared towards one treatment. You actually there's something around that trusting relationship that actually helped you to have confidence in the decisions that you were coming together with, and that feels really important. And funnily enough, yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody, a colleague, who's from a South Asian community, and he was talking about shared decision making and about a situation with their uncle, who had prostate cancer, and just how important it is to feel able to ask the right questions, and to have that trusting relationship, and therefore really trusting the information that you get to come to the right decision about the best treatment for you as well.
That's right. I mean, I have had bad experiences in the past when that phrase shared decision making didn't exist. The
Okay.
doctor was God, and I never even found what was wrong with me with a chest complaint. And then when I saw my medical records years later, I discovered I'd had TB. But the doctor at the time never told me this. So I was left in the dark. So obviously things have changed now. And having had a bad experience and now a fantastic experience, I realise how better things have become.
That's really positive. I say it's really positive. It is in terms of where it's got to. But
Yeah,
of course, I'm sorry to hear that that was your first experience.
yeah.
I do think it raises some really important points, though, Frank. So I think it's really good that you shared that. So thank you for doing that. Because there is a question, isn't there, around what is it that somebody should do if they feel they aren't being listened to? And I feel as though it's really important that we consider that because the first time you didn't feel as though you were having information shared with you, you didn't feel as though necessarily the treatment options were being discussed with you, and that you weren't involved in the decisions around your care. And all of those things feel really important to somebody. And you've just given such a good example, a kind of night and day experience of, what happens when somebody isn't involved in all of those discussions and the decisions around their treatments compared to what happens when they are, and just the difference in experience that you had. And it comes to me about the importance of the information that we share so that people feel able to go and ask questions, they feel prepared for appointments, they feel able to take somebody in with them to an appointment if they feel that will give them more confidence. And how it is that that together we make sure we provide that information in different and accessible ways. And it's great that we can post things on websites and different things such as that, and we share things with leaflets like you described. But often some of it can be dry, and we have to think about as well how actually we infiltrate different communities and we share with people in different communities as well. So we think of people who are at the kind of the heads of different communities, whether that be religious leaders, whether it be charities that work closely with them, or various different things. And it's really important, isn't it, that we actually make sure that the right information gets out there to the people so they feel able to ask those questions and that they can have the better experience that you had the next time around.
That's right. Yeah.
Good.
Can I just say that during the diagnosis, I was offered a stamina project, which allowed me to go to a gym with a personal trainer. And this was to find out whether exercise helped, because I'm on hormone treatment and you do get muscle wastage and fatigue, whether this helped. I had a personal trainer, as I say, and I found that was fantastic. It was a year's membership. That's ended now, but I enjoyed it so much. I rejoined with my wife, and we still go to the gym. And that were another result from decision making, shared decision making. They asked me if I'd like to do it. So that were another real positive I got from shared decision making.
That's absolutely fantastic. Because you give a really good example of that holistic care. So when I gave the initial description of what shared decision making should be, and it shouldn't just be with the condition that you go with, it should be about all of it in the context of your whole life. And you've just spoken so brilliantly to that, Frank, just how that was done in practice, which is so encouraging to hear because it can be really difficult. And to actually find suitable options for people in that kind of context as well. So was that as part of something that we call social prescribing that you were offered that?
Yes, and it were monitored by Sheffield University. So I had to do the personal trainer monitored my exercises and how I was progressing, and gave advice. And then that were passed on to Sheffield University. It's still, I think I've still got another test, even though it's finished in 2 years' time. They still want to find out how I've progressed or gone backwards exercise-wise. The hormone treatment has made me fatigued and muscle wastage, but I dread to think how worse I would be if I hadn't taken part in this stamina project. So it's all positive from me.
Thanks, Frank. It's really important just how you describe that. Just do you mean there's no kind of cure-all necessarily in any one treatment, is there? But there's something around how having that conversation together, actually looking at it in terms of all of the different things that you needed. Those different treatments have supported each other as well, and I'm just really pleased how much you have been involved in that conversation as well. That feels really critical to getting the best outcome for yourself, doesn't it? So it's been the best outcome. They're monitoring it. It's been the best outcome for the system. It's been the best outcome for you, and all by involving you in all of those decisions around your care.
That's right. Can I just say I'm also part of support groups I live in Chesterfield, but my treatment were in Sheffield. And these were men with prostate cancer, obviously, coming together, sharing stories, and some are good stories, some are bad, but it's really helpful listening to other people with similar symptoms and how they've overcome them. I find that really inspirational, and I do enjoy them. And we've made friends. We keep in touch with each other. There's two. I go to one in Chesterfield and one in Sheffield, and I find that really useful.
That's amazing. There's some real value, isn't there, in peer support, and especially at a time like this. And sometimes these conversations can feel quite taboo. And I think of the challenges that people face across different cultures sometimes, and how able they feel to speak openly about kind of the health and things such as that, and how it is that we create safe spaces for people to do that. And it feels as though there is an onus on us as a health and care system, and with partner organisations that we work with, to actually think about how it is that we do that, because you've just spoken to the value of it so well, and the importance of peer support. I know that it provides the emotional support which you've just described, and can provide really practical insights as well, where we can gain just good ideas from somebody else going through the same journey of something that's worked for them that might also work for you, that we might not naturally have thought of before. So having access to that feels really important and of real value.
Yeah, can I just say that also during my shared decision making, my wife was involved as well. So I think that's really important to keep your families on board, because in some ways they suffer more than you. You know what you've got. You've got a goal to get better, whereas sometimes your family doesn't understand why you can't climb stairs or wherever. So I found that important that my wife was involved with some of the shared decision making.
Thanks, Frank. I think a really good insight into, one, having somebody there as your support, but two, helping understand in terms of why it is you might be feeling certain ways on certain days. What is it you're actually able to do? And being part of that conversation can be helpful. And we know that that will be up to the person individually whether they want somebody involved. But to know that you can have that you can bring a family member into the room, is a really vital point. And I'm currently supporting a parent through cancer treatment at the moment, a different form of cancer. But by being in the room and supporting them has meant that when they're unable to take some information in because it's daunting and because there's a lot to understand, that I'm there and can also hear things and can relay some of this information to them after and can have conversations with them and within their own home afterwards as well. Feels really important to be able to do that. So a really good point.
Okay. Yeah, I also feel that during the support group there are a lot of lonely men, and I find that we've had a little offshoot of people who haven't got a family and they can't share their problems with wives, nieces, wherever. So we've tried to set up a little peer support group up for the men that haven't got that support group with their families and friends. So, and we've found that really inspiring. And that's made really good friends that we can share stories together.
Fantastic. And a really valid point. People are in any number of different circumstances, and some people might have families but don't want to discuss it with their families. Other people might not have anybody and might be quite lonely and need a safe space to discuss it. And having that opportunity feels really important, doesn't it? And I do agree that as part of a shared decision making conversation, to discuss all of the different treatment options. Treatment can be quite broad, and I think, particularly when we're discussing something such as cancer, thinking about what the direct treatment options might be for the condition which you've arrived at, so prostate cancer, but also the impact on all of your life, and therefore who it is that you might need to refer to. Whether that's kind of a specialist, whether that's Macmillan nurses, whether it's specialists, whether it's peer support, or whether it's social prescribing that you've described, so where you can get access to things like gym membership and speak to a link worker within your local GP practice. That having had that holistic conversation sounds like it's just been of so much benefit to you, Frank.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, as I say, I have no complaints at all. I was amazed how things worked out and the help I received from everyone, the nurses, the original junior doctor who found out and gave me the initial test, and then I were on a conveyor belt then, and every stage I was treated with respect and dignity, and I was told what was happening, what was going to happen. Yeah, just very positive all the way through. And then finally, the consultant who spoke to me and explained everything. Yeah, it was fantastic. I'm sure other people don't have that, but I live in Sheffield, and I think it's a really good cancer treatment centre. So, I'm sure other people haven't had that experience, but I'm just grateful I have.
Thanks, Frank. Really appreciated you sharing about your experience today. It feels as though it provides lots of insights in terms of what it is that we need to do to make sure that happens consistently for everybody. The importance of having a range of treatment options, the importance of being at the heart of all of those decisions, having trust with the person that you speak to, and considering it in the context of all of your life feels really important.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing with us today, Frank.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.